Hi, this is Denise Mathew, and welcome to episode 48 of the Mandala of Life, 365 Days to Self-Discovery. Today we're staying with tribal energy and we're moving to the only other tribal gate of the splenic system, the gate 50, where the gate 32 was about allocating resources, building big business, and supplying jobs for the people. The gate 50 is the energy that creates and upholds laws and sets the values for the collective that are conducive to have offspring and children that are nurtured, fed, and educated so that they can have the best chance at being productive parts of society. And when you take into consideration the big responsibility that we have nurturing and educating offspring, we understand that this energy can sometimes be overwhelming because there's a big investment to being responsible for the upbringing of a human race. This is all about right action and holding to your values despite the circumstances that you find yourself in. The gate 50 is half of the channel 5027, which is also called the channel of preservation. And just as it says, this is about preservation of life. This is the energy where we nurture intelligence, where we find wisdom. This is the cauldron, where we feed our children the right things so that they'll have the best developmental chance. It's also the place where we find rules, regulations, and laws that can range from something as easy as telling a child not to touch a hot burner to constructing laws for countries. And as with all gates from the spleen, this is a place where we can find a deep awareness. And it's also the place where all the awareness streams are originated. This is where instinct, intuition, and also judgment is produced. This is not the bonding and the emotional energy of the 59-6. Instead, it's a splenic awareness that is cool, calculated, and goes on instinct and intuition. This is a place where we make up rules for how we're going to survive and how we're going to set up our community so that everybody within that community is going to be protected. This is a place where we have safeguards so that the people that can't support or protect themselves are in some way protected. And if we delineate it from the gate 32, we see that the gate 32 is about big business and growing civilizations, corporations, and the more money that can be made for the tribe, the better. Alternately, the gate 50 is the people that actually hold the world together, the people that toil every day, that work a job, that keep continuity going in the human race. Here we can see safeguards for people who do the job, who keep the world running, who continue to go day after day to ensure that humanity continues to have all the things that they need to survive. This is the union that supports the people against the big corporations. Before we get into new content, let's quickly go over what we talked about in our last episode. In our last episode, we talked about the gate 32 and how it's half of the channel, the 3254, or a place where tribal business exists on a big scale. This is the energy of building big factories that can support many people and many jobs so that the collective can have work that they need so that they can support their own families. In many ways, this could be considered where tribal talent is seen and used and allocated to where it needs to be. It connects deeply with the gate 54, which is actually the talent. And the gate 32 decides where to put everybody so that we can have the best process. This is also the energy for new and improved ways of doing things, always changing and trying to up the game so that we have the best products, better institutions, or some type of better business. This is always looking at the bottom line to improve how money is used and also what the return on that money is. And it's also a place where we hold on and continue to walk forward despite what's happening all around us. Continuity and continuing to the finish line is one of the most important parts of this energy. And usually when you have this energy, you have just the ability to do that. And if you want to find out more about the gate 32, please check out episode 47 of the Mandala of Life. With that said, let's get into new content. And please don't forget to check out the other episodes of the Mandala of Life. As soon as we go to the spleen, we know that we're going to talk about some form of survival. And the gate 50 is no different than the other gates. This is talking about the survival of the next generation, but especially the survival of the children, and that they're properly reared and that they have the best chance at becoming valuable parts of the collective. We all know that there's a tremendous amount of responsibility as a parent or caregiver to give the best, to prepare them adequately for their future, to educate them on what the world is all about and how they can maneuver and navigate through the world most efficiently so that they can be successful. So there's questions like, what should they be taught? How should they be taught? One of the biggest things that we complain the most about is our educational systems, and that they're not teaching the children what they need to teach them. So we have a societal feeling of what everybody is meant to be taught and how they're meant to be taught, and that they need to be better than the generation that came before them. And that is the biggest responsibility of the Gate 50. And because of its enormity, this is a place where there can be anxiety and fear about taking responsibility in the first place to actually take care of children or to take care of somebody in general. And the other perspective is, if you in fact have decided to take the responsibility to rear an individual or to care for somebody, to teach them, to give them the values that they need to survive in the world, to educate them as you see fit, then if you don't give them all the right tools or all the right education, there could be an anxiety or a fear, which is in the splenic energy and which is in the Gate 50, that you've actually failed the responsibility that you were given. And of course, this fear can lead to a lot of ways of trying to cope with it. One is that we can be codependent, or we could also be a helicopter parent where we don't want to let our children fly on their own because we're fearful that they may stumble, they may fall, and they may not actually go where we want them to go, and they may not get that big chance that you want them to have in their future. And there's questions about what they should be taught, how they should be educated, what's the most important things, and nobody ever knows exactly what's correct. Only that we try our best and we nurture our children or whoever we care for to try and be the best version of themselves. Of course, this energy comes from us, and we decide what they learn and what they don't learn. And that's how they get prepared for the future. A lot of times we don't feel that they're completely prepared for the future. And then that would be another time where we are feeling that we need to be blamed or feeling like we've not actually hit the mark with our responsibility. This is a powerful energy, and when you carry it, many times you can be drawn to places where you're actually trying to educate people in some way. That could be educating in a school system, educating in a bigger sphere, or educating them by teaching them the basics of how to adapt in the world. The other perspective is the idea of feeding everybody adequately so that they have the best chance to get the development that they need so that they can be the strongest individuals in the world. The question is always, did I get it right? This is the 14th gate of the quarter of duality, where purpose is fulfilled through bonding. When we talk about the channel of preservation or the 2750, we know that whoever carries this energy is going to be a generator type, meaning they're going to be a pure generator or a manifesting generator, because there's always going to be a divine sacral and also a divine spleen. When you do carry the energy of the 2750, that says that you are a pure splenic generator, either a manifesting generator or a pure generator. What that means is that because you have the full channel, you have a direct supply of energy to the spleen, which is something that empowers it or powers it up so that the intuition or the instinct is even stronger because it has a direct power source, basically the strongest motor in the whole human design body graph. Uru Hu used to talk about the spleen as being a washing machine that was unplugged because it doesn't have a power source. But when it's hooked into the sacral center, then we know that it's going to be powered up to heighten the intuition and also the instinct. This is also the place where we have immunity and also health. So having the full channel can sometimes make for somebody who has a more robust immunity and immune system whenever you're following your strategy and responding to life. The gate 50 would be considered the yang side of the full channel, where the gate 27 is more the yin side. So we have a nourishing or a nurturing of individuals, and the gate 50 is a place where we hold our laws and also the values that we hold dear, the things that we stand by, our own personal code of ethics. Now, that is not the same for everybody. We're all reared differently. We all have different influences and rules that were given to us when we were smaller children, and the core beliefs that we have that make us who we are. This is also half of the defense circuit, and the defense circuit is a very powerful aura-busting energy that lets everybody know that you're in the room because it is that powerful. This kind of energy basically says that if you're going to sit at my table, you're going to need to follow the rules that I set. But since our focus is on the gate 50 today, let's talk about the hanging gate 50. The rules and regulations that come from the Gate 50 can be set in stone and pretty strong and powerful in their delivery. So in other words, if you are in the aura of somebody with the Gate 50, you pretty much have to follow what they're saying, because if you don't, it's like an energetic tells you, just stand up straighter and to do the things that you're meant to do. And this many times happens without any kind of conversation ever happening. It's just an energy that we feel around the Gate 50, where we might feel compelled to abide by the authority that this energy gives off. Of course, we know that there's always going to be a duality in all energies. This can sometimes manifest as an energy where it's my way or the highway, my rules, and you don't have a choice in anything you say or do. There can also be a rebellion against the rules, rebellion against responsibility, and rebellion against anything that doesn't align with your own personal values. In fact, this can be a place where rules and laws are adjusted or changed because the collective don't want those types of rules anymore, or they want them amended in some way to better represent the whole collective and the tribe or anybody that is actually having to follow the rules and regulations. But it can also be this authoritarian energy where people are just being told what to do. And that can take on every level of leadership, from just having a small family to having a bigger place of power where you have more ability to enforce the laws and rules and values that you want to enforce. That could be even in a company where you're the leader and you're telling everybody, well, this is the values that you need to keep and this is the values you need to hold because I'm the boss and that's what I say kind of energy. And it can also be the idea of taking care of people long after they can take care of themselves, not allowing them to have their own responsibility for their own futures and just always trying to micromanage or tell them exactly what they should do, when they should do it. And the person that you're telling can many times actually fall into place and listen to everything you say and basically give you their power so that you can tell them exactly what they're meant to do. In fact, they never get the opportunity to step out into the world and do their own thing. And that's where this energy can be overpowering and go all the wrong ways. But on the flip side, we always have this idea of educating them on being the best version of who they are, giving the values and the skills and whatever they need to be the best for out in the world, to be their own authority and to place their own mark on society, because they've been nurtured and cared for to understand that they have authority over themselves and a power to make a change and to be a valuable member of society. The true meaning of laws and rules is so that we're protecting the people that can't protect themselves. That's the whole point of having the society built in a certain way so that everybody can be cared for, supported, and they get what they need. When you carry this energy, you might be somebody who is very interested in law or upholding values in society. It could also be this idea of educating people or even feeding people. Many times when you carry this energy, you could have a deep interest for cooking or even becoming a chef. You could also be in the educational system, as I said, or in law enforcement, or something related to upholding the values of the community. And sometimes the rebellion that's found within this energy is related to the concept that there is a need to change the rules or the regulations or the laws that are in place, and they need to be adjusted to the current landscape, because we know that laws that are 100 years old may not speak to the current conditions or the current needs that we have as a society in current times. The key with this energy is to know that there's always going to be a balance that's required for all energies, especially with this one, where we're not telling people what to do. We're allowing people to think for themselves, to do what they need to do for their own authority and their own autonomy. But there's also guidance that you can give that says this is what might be a better solution. At the end of the day, people should be able to make their own choices. As soon as we're forcing our will on other people or forcing our agenda or our values on other people, it generally won't hit the mark. So giving people the tools that they need for getting through life, for being the best version of themselves in society, to go out in the world and to be able to be responsible for themselves is a balancing act between doing for someone and also allowing them to do for themselves. So if we can find the middle way with the energy of the Gate 50 to let people be who they are and to provide guidance when they want it, then this is where we find that people can find their own way, their own destiny, their own path that they can walk because they've decided to walk it. And many times the values that you've encouraged or taught to the people that you have been responsible for will be imprinted on them, and they'll hold them true to who they are. As long as they have an ability to expand, to flower, to become exactly who they want to be, and they can be the fullest expression of who they are. And they can grow to be healthy adults who understand that they make the decisions in their own lives. So when we talk about the Gate 50, this is powerful energy that can impart values to the collective that can completely change their paradigm and the trajectory of their life. In many ways, the Gate 50 can be considered a cauldron of magic, where we come out with something more beautiful, more empowering, and something that aligns with the truth of who we are. And when we've learned about values, responsibility, and how to guide the people in our life in a way that they're feeling represented, the Mandala of Life turns again, and we move into the energy of the game player. This is the Gate 28, half of the channel of struggle. This is the preponderance of the great, where we search to discover the meaning of life. Well, that's all for now, and I'll be back soon with episode 49, the Gate 28, the gate of taking risks. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.